بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I would like to welcome all of you for this class for Management 301, the Principles of Management. Today is November 22nd, 2020, and this is Dr. Shamir Hamad. Wherever you are, I'd like to welcome you. Today we are going to go through chapter 16, which is managers as a leaders. Very interesting, okay, to talk about managers as a leaders. Now, leadership is very important for managers to become a good leader. There has been several attempts to explain leadership abilities, and there has been several theories has been put where and how, what are the things that make leaders effective, are leaders born or made? Very interesting. Throughout the history, we've been seeing why leaders become leaders, and we try to interpret that. And today we are going to go through all these theories of leadership, okay? And it will help us, this should help us understand and become more effective manager by understanding theories of leadership, okay? To start with, we have to talk about who are leaders and what is a leadership. Therefore, there's a difference between a leader and a leadership. A leader is someone who can influence others and who has managerial authorities. Therefore, a leader is a person. Leadership, what leaders do, the process of influencing a group to achieve goals. Why people influence others. Therefore, this is leadership. Now, who are, again, although groups may have informal leaders who emerge, these are not the leaders we are studying. Leadership is a research that has tried to answer what is an effective leader. Okay. We'll go as back as Ibn Khaldun conception of leadership. Ibn Khaldun was born, as we know, in Tunisia, okay? And he has his book, Al-Muqaddimah, Muqaddimat Ibn Khaldun. He is born in 1332, and he was mainly interested in political leadership. He was traveling, putting notes, putting together, writing, and he was very much interested in political leadership, but his conceptualization is important for understanding leadership in any context, business or non-business. Ibn Khaldun emphasizes the personal qualities of the leader. He calls these qualities perfecting details. Therefore, that was the first attempt to explain leadership by Ibn Khaldun through his book or Muqaddimah. And he said what? He said, we have perfecting details. He was observing, even though he was looking mainly at political leaders, but he was looking for leaders in general, for business and non-business. Let's see what are these characteristics or traits that Ibn Khaldun has suggested for leader, okay? Therefore, perfecting details, including, he said, leaders should have these characteristics: generosity, forgiveness of error, patience and perseverance, hospitality toward guests, maintenance of the indigent, and executing of commitment, respect for the religious laws, okay, and reverence of old men and teachers, fairness, meekness, consideration to the needs of followers, avoid the deception and fraud, and last being kindness to protecting of subject. Therefore, he put like 13 characteristics that in Ibn Khaldun ideas and thought that this is a good leader, which is very good, okay? Now, within the Arab countries, we have what we call al-asabiyya, okay? Asabiyya, which is a group feeling or group bonds, okay? What is the role of this asabiyya? Asabiyya system from blood ties and alliances, with the former having the most weight in fostering the leadership bonds. Blood ties may be an important factor in the West as a source of leadership, but they are important in the Arab region because it's a tribal society. Therefore, it is very important, these blood ties. Okay. First attempt to explain leadership was looking at the trait of a man. That's why they call it trait theory or trait man theory. الصفات الجسمانية. Is he tall? Is he short? Is he big? Is he muscled? Is he handsome? This was the first attempt. They said the leadership was, or he has certain traits. Research in the 1920 and 1930 focused on identifying personal characteristics that differentiated leader from non-leaders was unsuccessful. Therefore, this was not successful. You know, some people, the leader doesn't have to be handsome and tall, and you know, Napoleon was short, and you know, Hajjaj bin Yusuf was short, and other people, you know, they don't. Some leaders, they were ugly, you know. Therefore, it's, the physical or trait was not necessarily explaining the leadership. Later research on the leadership process identifies 7 traits associated with successful leadership. Drive, the desire to lead, honesty and integrity, self-confidence, intelligence, job-relevant knowledge, and extraversion. Therefore, these were the 7 characteristics again that try to the 8 traits associated with the leadership, as we said, the drive, desire to lead, honesty and integrity, self-confidence, intelligence, job relevant knowledge, extraversions, and proneness to guilt. After that, since the trait was or failed to explain the leadership, the next thing that scholars look into, they said maybe the behaviors, what makes leaders. Therefore, there are several attempts by looking at the behavior theories, and these are University of Iowa studies, Ohio State University, or Ohio State Studies, Ohio State University Studies, University of Michigan Studies, and Managerial Grit. Almost all of them talks about the same things, okay? And they have suggesting x-axis and y-axis, okay? Actually, yeah, most of them were suggesting their x-axis, y-axis. One of them suggested third dimension, okay? And these are again University of Iowa, okay? Iowa and Ohio State University and Michigan and managerial grid. Okay, very interesting. Try to explain, okay, what are these? They are not that much different or apart from each other. University of Iowa studies, study has been done by Kurt Lewin. He identified 3 leadership styles: autocratic style, democratic style, and laissez-faire style. Autocratic, centralized authority, low participation, where democratic, more involvement and high participation with feedback, while the laissez-faire style, hands-off management and just leave it for others, okay? Research findings, okay? Research findings in this research finding, mixed results. No specific style was consistently better for producing better performance. Employees were more satisfied under democratic, okay, leaders than autocratic leader. These are Ohio State studies, okay, identify 2 dimensions of leadership: initiating structure and consideration structure. Initiating, the role of the leader in defining his or her role and the roles of a group member. Initiating, he initiates things, okay, he defined the roles, okay. Consideration, the leader's mutual trust and respect for the group members' ideas and feeling. He does everything with the group, okay? Again, the research finding mixed results. High leaders generally, but not always, achieved high groups task performance and satisfaction. Evidence indicate that situational factors, sometimes situation dictates, okay, appears to strongly influence leadership effectiveness. Very interesting. University of Michigan studies identified 2 dimensions of leader behavior: employees oriented and production oriented, okay? Employees emphasize personal relationship. He is more toward the employees. Production, he is more emphasized to task accomplishment. And the research finding, leaders who are employee oriented are strongly associated with high group productivity and high job satisfaction. Now, managerial grid. Now, all of those, Iowa, Ohio, Michigan, they suggested almost 2 dimensions of leadership. Managerial grid, okay, and mainly these are people oriented, okay, or work oriented or production oriented. Okay, this guy, he's more toward the people, okay? Managerial grid, rather than 2 dimensions, he said, look, I'm gonna make my x-axis 1 to 9 scale, okay? And my people-oriented person also 9. And then I will have 1, 1, okay? Or 1, he has 9 concerns for people and 1 concern for production, or he has 1 concern for production, for people, and 9 concern for production, or middle of the road, 5 and 5. He has 5 concern for production, 5 concern for people, or best of all, the person who's team leader, he has 9 and 9. And therefore, now, rather than having 2 or 3, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, I want you to appreciate that as we go along, we are having more leadership style. We started with 2 type, and then we are now with that's why they call it managerial grid, because it's like a grid, okay? And has 5 type of leaders. Managerial grid appraises leadership style using the 2 dimensions, concern for people, concern for production, and they place managerial style in 5 categories as we suggested. Impoverished management, which is 1 and 1, he has no interest for people or for production. They call him impoverished. Task management, okay, he has more. He has 1 concern for people and 9 concern for production. They call it task management. And then we have middle of the road, which is 5 and 5. He has equal importance or have 5 points for importance for production and 5 points importance for people. And we have country club style, which is this guy who has more concern for production and more concern for people and less concern for production. And best of them is who has 9 concern for production and 9 concern for people. What type of leadership? Again, depend on the situation. If you work with Aramco, if you work with production facilities, if you refineries, you have to be with this type, production oriented. If you work for schools, social places, security, social security office, or government, they are more concerned with people. You have to be with this style. Okay, but it's very interesting. Now with the leadership, we are finding more and more explanation to see what type of leadership are there. Okay, and this table he give behavioral theories of leadership, and he gave the behavioral dimension and conclusion for University of Iowa and Ohio State University, West Michigan, and managerial grid. And for your convenience, give you very nice comparisons. This is what we just talked about, which is 1 and 1, which is impoverished management. He has no interest for production or for people. Okay. 9 and 1, he has more concern for production and less minimum concern for people, while the other, okay, we call him country club style, he has the maximum concern for people and very much little or concern for production. You have middle of the road, who has 5 and 5 concern for both people and the production. Best of them is the team manager or team leader, who has maximum for production and maximum concern for people. That's why you call it managerial grid. Okay, later on, Fiddler came and he suggested contingency model. He proposed that effective group performance depends upon the proper match between the leader, which is style of interacting with followers, and the degree to which the situation allows the leader to control and influence. Fiddler defined this leadership style and the different type of situation, and then identified the appropriate combination style and situation. In other words, situation factors in matching leaders to the situation. Therefore, he said that we have another concern when we try to explain leadership, and he called it leader-member relationship. To what extent you as a leader have good relation with your followers? Do they believe in you? Do they do whatever you ask them to do? It's very interesting, okay? And what type of task structure? Is it highly technical, need very special type of people, or just general routine type, okay? And how much power you have. Are you in a big position power so that you can influence them? Very interesting. Therefore, we start seeing more dimensions come into this leadership theory and style. This is the Fiddler model, and we have in the x-axis we have performance goes from poor to good, and also we have the situation favorableness. It is favorable or moderate or highly unfavorable. And we have two curves, which is bell curve type, which is relationship oriented, and the U type, which is task oriented. Accordingly, we have, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 type of leadership styles. Very interesting. Therefore, managerial grid, okay, give 5 type. Fiddler give 8 type, depending on the leader-member relationship, task structure, and position power. Whether it is leader good or bad or poor relationship, task structure could be high, low, and position power could be strong or weak. Very interesting. I want you to understand, to appreciate that as we go along with these theories of leadership, the concept become more and more complicated, and we have more styles of leadership, and this is very, very, very interesting. Okay? But later on, Hersey and Blanchard, they brought situational leadership theory. They call it SLT. Okay? They argue, Hersey and Blanchard, they argue that successful leadership is achieved by selecting the right leadership style, okay, which is contingent on the level of the followers' readiness. They introduce another factor, how ready your followers are, and this will affect your leadership style. Now, to what extent they accept your leadership style, acceptance, and to what extent they are ready to follow you and to do whatever you ask them. Acceptance, leadership effectiveness depends on whether followers accept or reject the leader. Readiness, the extent to which followers have the ability and willingness to accomplish a specific task. Leader must relinquish control over and contact with followers as they become more competent. Very interesting, okay? They create 4 specific leadership styles, incorporating Fiddler 2 leadership dimension, and accordingly they have either telling type or selling type or participating type or delegating. Telling, by force, you just go ahead and do it. I am your leader, I am the boss, okay? Telling, okay? Selling, you try to sell them the idea and have them do it in their own, okay? Participating, you make the decision together with your followers, okay? And delegating, you tell them, I trust you, I believe in you, take whatever decision, and I will support you as a leader. Therefore, these are the Hersey and Blanchard situational leadership. We have telling type, selling type, and participating and delegating style of leadership. Again, depending on the leadership SLT, which is Hersey and Blanchard, depending possess 4 stages for follower readiness. And he said we have R1, R2, R3, R4. R1 followers are unable and unwilling. Like you have followers and you bring a new software program in your company. And those guys, they are unwilling and unable. They don't know. So this is R1. Their readiness is very, very low. You have different followers, R2, that are unable but willing. They don't know how to program, but they are willing to learn the programming. And this is the R2. R3 followers are able but not willing. They know how this machine work, but they are unwilling. They don't like you as a leader. This is R3. And R4 are best type, which is able and willing. They know how to program and they are willing to do and follow whatever order you give them. Therefore, they introduce new dimensions, okay? Readiness of the follower, R1, R2, R3, and 4. R1 are unable and unwilling. R2 unable but willing, okay? R3 able and unwilling, but unwilling, while R4 able and willing. Then we have what we call path goal theory. It states that leaders' jobs is to assist his or her followers in attaining their goals and to provide direct or support to ensure their goals are compatible with organizational goals. Path goal theory, just like, is leaders assumes different leadership styles at different times, depending on the situation. You have directive leader, supportive leader, participative leader, and achievement-oriented leader. Very much similar to Fiddler Model, okay? And here, the path goal theory, how does it work? We have the leader behavior, directive, supportive, participative, achievement-oriented, affecting the outcome, which is performance and situation. However, it is affected by environmental contingency factor, such as the task structure, formal authority system, work group, and affected by subordinate, your followers, okay? Contingency factor, like locus of control. You remember if a person internal locus or external locus. Internal locus is what? Anything happens, it's because of me. I didn't work well, I didn't study well. Internal control or internal locus. External locus, anything happened because of them. They didn't support me, they didn't give me enough material, they didn't. Some people, they put the blame on others, they call them external locus, or internal locus, they blame themselves for whatever happens, okay? Therefore, subordinates, contingency factor, like locus of control, experience, whether they are young, fresh, or experienced, and perceived abilities. Transformational leader, best type, okay? We have transformational leader, transformational leader, and best, however, is charismatic leader. Transactional leader, someone who guides or motivates their followers in the direction of established goal by clarifying role and task requirement. Make everything very, very clear. Okay? A transformational leader, someone who inspires followers to transcend their own self-interest for the good of the organization by clarifying role and task requirement. Charismatic leader, charismatic like a magnet. Person has certain characteristic, he's just like a magnet. People always like him, love him, and they do whatever he wants, okay? Charismatic leader, an enthusiastic and self-confident leader whose personality and action influence people to behave in certain way. We have the LMX theory, leader-member exchange theory. Leaders create in-group and out-group, and those in the in-group will have higher performance rating, lower turnover, and great job satisfaction. LMX theory suggests that early on in the relationship between a leader and a given follower, a leader will implicitly categorize this follower as in or as an out. Therefore, LMX, whether you are within my group as a leader or outside my group, that's a human nature. Some people you satisfy with, you like the way they work, you like the way they listen to you, they follow your order, or some people they don't like to listen to you as a leader and they don't follow you, you categorize them. This usually determined by your relationship with the followers. The early you have good relation, he will be within the group, or you will consider him outside the group. Okay, this is called LMX model. Team leadership, having patience to share information, being able to trust others to give up authority, understanding when to intervene, managing the team's external boundary, facilitating the team process, coaching, facilitating, handling disciplinary problem, reviewing team and individual performance, training and communication. It's important also for leaders to understand the theory of power. What type of power a leader would have? There are 5 types of powers. First one called legitimate power. The legitimate power is the power that comes within any position. You are purchasing manager, you have power as person. You are marketing manager, you are CEO, you are CFO. These, with any position, power will come. This is called the legitimate power. The power a leader has as a result of his or her position. Perceived power, the power leader has to punish or control. As a leader or as a manager, if you come late, I have the authority to punish you, or I have the power to punish you. This is called perceived power. Reward power, again, the power to give positive benefit or reward. If you do something good, I can give you allowance or bonus, or this is called reward power. Expert power, the influence a leader can exert as a result of his or her expertise, skills, or knowledge. You are civil engineer, you have expert power. You are electric engineer, you have expert. You are expert in that area. You are software engineer, you have expert power because you are specialized in that area. Referent power, the power of a leader that arises because of a person's desirable resources or admire personal trait. Referent power. I am one of the managers or one of the VPs. Whenever the president is there, I'm always with him. Maybe I would like to show people that I am a colleague of CEO, the president. This is called referent power. Okay? You always try to put yourself with the people in higher position so that people will always think about you as that you have that power. Okay, we have how to develop trust or developing trust. Credibility of a leader, the assessment of leaders' honesty, competence, and ability to inspire by his or her followers. To what extent the leader is credible, okay, is the assessment by others of his honesty, competence. Trust is the belief of the followers and others in the integrity, character, and ability of leader. Is related to increase in job performance, organizational citizenship, behaviors, job satisfaction, and organizational commitment. 5 dimensions of the trust: integrity, competence, consistency, loyalty, and openness. Integrity, honesty, and truthfulness. Competence is technical and interpersonal knowledge and skill. Consistency is reliability, predictability, and good judgment, handling situation. Loyalty is willingness to protect a person physically and emotionally. Openness is willingness to share ideas and information freely. Most importantly is to give people power, empowerment, empowering employees. Empowerment involves increasing the decisions making, discretion of workers, such as that teams can make key operating decisions that directly affect their work. Why you empower people or employees? Quicker responses to problem and fast decisions, so that they can take decisions and they solve problem quickly without coming to you. Addresses the problem of increased span of control in relieving managers to work on other problems. Leading across culture, universal elements of effective leadership all over the world, all over the culture, across all cultures. Vision, a leader, he has to have vision. Foresight, providing encouragement. Trustworthiness, dynamism, positiveness, and proactiveness. These are common characteristics of the... Again now, the Arab leaders, these are the cross-cultural leadership. Arab leaders who show kindness or generosity without being asked to do so are seen by other Arab as well as weak. Very interesting. Japanese leaders are expected to be humble and speak frequently. Effective German leaders are characterized by high performance orientation, low compassion, low self-protection, low team orientation, high autonomy, and high participation. Very interesting how things being viewed differently throughout other cultures. Understanding gender differences in leadership. When we talk about male, female leaders, males and females use different styles of leadership. Women tend to adapt more democratic or participative style and less in a male dominant job. Women tend to transformational leadership. Men tends also used to transactional leadership. even if men and women differ in their leadership style, we should not assume that one is always preferable to other. Therefore, it depends on what situation. Very interesting. Gender differences in leadership in the Arab world, leadership positions in the Arab world have traditionally been monopolized by men. The dominant leadership prototype in Arab culture is a male figure. However, many prominent women leaders have managed to reach top decision-making position, and this is now changing. In Saudi Arabia and other Arab countries, we have more opportunities for women. These are some statistics about female economic activity rate in selected regions for the Arab world. 22.8% female labor force participation, while the male labor is 74%. South Asia 31% and 81% for the male. And for Europe and Asia, 49% for female and for male are almost 70%. For the whole world is 51%, 0.3 for female, and for the male 77.2. This is from Human Development Report 2013. 2013. This must have been changed by now. Okay? Becoming effective leader. You have to take training. Training will help you become a better leader. Okay? If you have certain characteristics you are born with, certain trait, but training will more likely to be successful with individuals who are high self-monitors than with low self-monitors. Individuals with high level of motivation to lead are more receptive to leadership development opportunities. What can be taught for leaders? You can taught leaders implementation skills, trust building, mentoring, situational analysis. Last slide, okay. What substitute for good leadership? Sometimes leadership may not be that much important. Certain variables can act as a substitute. If you have good follower characteristic, this might substitute good leadership. Experienced followers, okay? Training, professionals, orientation, or the need for independence. Sometimes the job characteristics, okay? Routine and unambiguous and satisfying jobs, okay? Sometimes kind of work, say, I might not even, it could be substitute for leadership, okay? If it is routine type and unambiguous. Organizational characteristics, explicit formalization goals, rigid rules and procedures, or cohesive work group. Sometimes the organization itself will substitute a good leader because they have rules and they have a system. Very good. By this, we conclude our chapter for today. We just been through managers as a leader, and this is for principles of management, and this is chapter 16, and I will see you next class on chapter 17. You have a good day, good evening, or good afternoon, wherever you are, and thank you very much.